Please like the video and share it so that it reaches many more people and you get sawaba, or rewards from Allah. This could be a sawabe jariyah or continuous reward for you long after you are gone.
Volume 4, Book 54, number 429. Narrated by Malik bin Sasa. The Prophet said, "While I was at the house in a state midway between sleep and wakefulness, an angel recognized me, as the man lying between two men. A golden tray full of wisdom and belief was brought to me, and my body was cut open from the throat to the lower part of the abdomen, and then my abdomen was washed with Zam-Zam water, and my heart was filled with wisdom and belief. Al-Barak, a white animal, smaller than a mule and bigger than a donkey, was brought to me. And I set out with Gabriel. When I reached the nearest heaven, Gabriel said to the heaven gatekeeper, 'Open the gate.' The gatekeeper asked, 'Who is it?' He said, 'Gabriel.' The gatekeeper, 'Who is accompanying you?' Gabriel said, 'Muhammad.' The gatekeeper said, 'Has he been called?' Gabriel said, 'Yes.' Then it was said, 'He is welcomed. What a wonderful visit his is.' Then I met Adam and greeted him, and he said, 'You are welcomed, O son and a prophet.' Then we ascended to the second heaven. It was asked, 'Who is it?' Gabriel said, 'Gabriel.' It was said, 'Who is with you?' He said, 'Muhammad.' It was asked, 'Has he been sent for?' He said, 'Yes.' It was said, 'He is welcomed. What a wonderful visit his is.' Then I met Jesus and Yahya, John, who said, 'You are welcomed, O brother and a prophet.' Then we ascended to the third heaven. It was asked, 'Who is it?' Gabriel said, 'Gabriel.' It was asked, 'Who is with you?' Gabriel said, 'Muhammad.' It was asked, 'Has he been sent for?' 'Yes,' said Gabriel. 'He is welcomed. What a wonderful visit his is.' The Prophet added smiley face. There I met Joseph and greeted him, and he replied, 'You are welcomed, O brother and a prophet.' Then we ascended to the fourth heaven, and again the same questions and answers were exchanged as in the previous heavens. There I met Idris and greeted him. He said, 'You are welcomed, O brother and prophet.' Then we ascended to the fifth heaven. And again the same questions and answers were exchanged as in previous heavens. There I met and greeted Aaron, who said, 'You are welcomed, O brother and a prophet.' Then we ascended to the sixth heaven, and again the same questions and answers were exchanged as in the previous heavens. There I met and greeted Moses, who said, 'You are welcomed, O brother and a prophet.' When I proceeded on, he started weeping, and on being asked why he was weeping, he said, 'O Lord, followers of this youth who was sent after me will enter paradise in greater number than my followers.' Then we ascended to the seventh heaven, and again the same questions and answers were exchanged as in the previous heavens. There I met and greeted Abraham, who said, 'You are welcomed, O son and a prophet.' Then I was shown Al-Bayt al-Mamur, i.e. Allah's house. I asked Gabriel about it, and he said, 'This is Al-Bayt al-Mamur, where 70,000 angels perform prayers daily. And when they leave, they never return to it, but always a fresh batch comes into it daily.' Then I was shown Sidrat al-Muntaha, i.e. a tree in the seventh heaven, and I saw its nab fruits, which resembled the clay jugs of Hajar, i.e. a town in Arabia, and its leaves were like the ears of elephants, and 4 rivers originated at its root, 2 of them were apparent and 2 were hidden. I asked Gabriel about those rivers, and he said, 'The 2 hidden rivers are in paradise, and the apparent ones are the Nile and the Euphrates.' Then 50 prayers were enjoined on me. I descended till I met Moses, who asked me, 'What have you done?' I said, 50 prayers have been enjoined on me. He said, 'I know the people better than you, because I had the hardest experience to bring Bani Israel to obedience. Your followers cannot put up with such obligation. So, return to your Lord and request him to reduce the number of prayers.' I returned and requested Allah for reduction, and he made it 40. I returned and met Moses, and had a similar discussion, and then returned again to Allah for reduction, and he made it 30, then 20, then 10, and then I came to Moses, who repeated the same advice. Ultimately Allah reduced it to 5. When I came to Moses again, he said, "What have you done?" I said, "Allah has made it 5 only." He repeated the same advice, but I said that I surrendered to Allah's final order. Allah's apostle was addressed by Allah, "I have decreed my obligation and have reduced the burden on my slaves, and I shall reward a single good deed as if it were 10 good deeds." Volume 4, Book 54, number 430. Narrated by Abdullah bin Muzid. Allah's apostle, the true and truly inspired, said, "The matter of the creation of a human being is put together in the womb of the mother in 40 days, and then he becomes a clot of thick blood for a similar period, and then a piece of flesh for a similar period. Then Allah sends an angel who is ordered to write 4 things. He is ordered to write down his, i.e. the new creature's, deeds, his livelihood, his date of death, and whether he will be blessed or wretched in religion. Then the soul is breathed into him. So, a man amongst you may do good deeds till there is only a cubit between him and paradise, and then what has been written for him decides his behavior, and he starts doing evil deeds characteristic of the people of the hell fire. And similarly a man amongst you may do evil deeds till there is only a cubit between him and the hell fire, and then what has been written for him decides his behavior, and he starts doing deeds characteristic of the people of paradise." Volume 4, Book 54, number 431. Narrated by Abu Hurairah. The Prophet said, "If Allah loves a person, he calls Gabriel saying, 'Allah loves so and so. O Gabriel, love him.' Gabriel would love him and make an announcement amongst the inhabitants of the heaven, 'Allah loves so and so, therefore you should love him also.' And so all the inhabitants of the heaven would love him, and then he is granted the pleasure of the people on the earth." Volume 4, Book 54, number 432. Narrated by Aisha. I heard Allah's apostle saying, "The angels descend the clouds and mention this or that matter decreed in the heaven. The devils listen stealthily to such a matter, come down to inspire the soothsayers with it, and the latter would add to it 100 lies of their own." Volume 4, Book 54, number 433. Narrated by Abu Hurairah. The Prophet said, "On every Friday the angels take air stand at every gate of the mosques to write the names of the people chronologically, i.e. according to the time of their arrival for the Friday prayer, and when the Imam sits on the pulpit, they fold up their scrolls and get ready to listen to the sermon." Volume 4, Book 54, number 434. Narrated by Sa'id bin al-Musayyab. Umar came to the mosque while Hassan was reciting a poem. Umar disapproved of that. On that Hassan said, "I used to recite poetry in this very mosque in the presence of one, i.e. the Prophet, who was better than you." Then he turned towards Abu Hurairah and said to him, "I ask you by Allah, did you hear Allah's apostle saying to me, 'Retort on my behalf'? O Allah, support him, i.e. Hassan, with the Holy Spirit." Abu Hurairah said, "Yes." Volume 4, Book 54, number 435. Narrated by Al-Bara. The Prophet said to Hassan, "Lampoon him, i.e. the pagans, and Gabriel is with you."